Hello everyone, welcome back in 720p. Now Tempo, they can't see our random blemishes and the fact that I haven't shaven today. And I'm definitely in favor of that, and of course it should be a little bit easier for a lot of you viewers maybe dealing with not the best ISP internet service providers. I'm talking to you Canadians and you Americans, not you. If you're a Korean and you're watching this, I envy you, not just for your
Boss.
StarCraft skills, but also for your internet.
Yeah.
But with that being said, guys, we're going to be jumping into the next show match series. It is going to be Complexity Gaming's Midday versus the only player who's playing in the show matches that is a professional and not from Team Complexity. It is IVD's Puck. Let's go ahead and jump in and introduce the players and say their names one more time. As we spawn up here in the top right-hand corner. On top of that blue Protoss player I was just talking about, it is IVD Gaming's Sloopy, aka Puck.
Pook. And his opponents. Well, gotta let the sick camera work. His opponent spawning in the bottom left corner, representing Complexity, Sound Blaster, also a breaking out representative. It is gonna be Midday. Midday. Is it like midday or midday or like milady?
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So I'm sure most people are familiar with Rifkin from Base Trade TV. He actually did the voiceover for the trailer for the Invitational, and it was so funny because he sends over like this audio file, as Cyber, amazing editor, and actually has been active in the chat every so often as well. Mm-hmm. But he puts together the video and everything, so we get the raw audio file from Rifkin.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said was he does the player intros, right? He says the player is like Midday, the nobleman,
Yeah.
and he's like midday, not night. And like all these kind of like jokes about like midday. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm actually not 100% sure because I'm pretty sure I've alternated on how I've said it, and he's sort of also been back and forth. Or he never corrected me on it. He never corrected.
Really? Oh.
So I just go with whatever works, man.
Midday.
It's such a subtle difference, right? Like midday
I know, right?
versus midday.
Midday. Like it's in the middle of the day. We got day 9. This is the
Yeah,
final
right?
day of the breaking out.
Oh my God! Midday confirmed day 9 sun.
Right?
Oh, actually, so
moly.
here's a really interesting thing. Midday was actually telling me the funniest random statistic I had not actually realized until he told me. He said if he wins this Breakout Invitational, he wins Season 3, then every single season of Breaking Out, the champion of Breaking Out will have been a Chinese Canadian.
Really?
Because
Oh, yeah.
Season 1, Saravati. Season 2, Hendreless. And if Season 3 is Midday, Chinese Canadians are just taking all of my money.
That is like, wow, I never even thought of that.
Yeah, right? Like, it's such a weird and random thing, but it's so true, actually. So I thought that was actually a really fun random statistic.
Mm-hmm. But he's got a lot of pressure on him then, right? They're like all probably rooting like, yo, come on, man. Don't ruin it. We paved the way and now.
Yeah, right? Well, okay. Just taking a look at what's been going on in this game, we have been seeing a gateway expansion coming out of Puck, but when we talk about Midday, he has gone for the gas guys and getting up Zorgling speed, etc. That's all well and good. Here's the thing, Tempo. We didn't actually play the recap videos before these matches. We're going to be showing those a little bit later in case you're tuning in for the first day of the Invitational. Like, this is your first day watching it. Yep. But Midday has said the only playstyle that he feels is super solid and works against everything a Protoss player can do is Swarm Hosts. And he likes going for Swarm Hosts.
Yep.
Overgrowth?
Oh, man.
Not a bad map for Swarm Hosts.
Not bad at all. Oh, snap. You may see it then. Is he this type that will go right into it? I know how some players
that's the thing. He's not the type that's just going to be like, okay, time for 2-base Swarm Host. Like, I think it's in his repertoire, but he knows and realizes that there are a lot of weaknesses in just being like, I'm gonna go for Swarm Host as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah.
He knows that, like, okay, you have to open up a lot of times with like roaches. You got to put on some of the aggression. You may even have to go to hydros, and then eventually, if you can bring it to that late game situation, you can get out the big Swarm Host in massive numbers and be that big scary force that a lot of Protoss players are honestly quite afraid of.
For sure. And I know Puck is definitely a player that has dealt with it before as
oh yeah,
quite a bit. I've seen him play against it, and he plays a more kind of you know, there are different ways that people will deal with it, whether it be like war prisms and
Uh-oh.
Midday.
Midday! Oh no! Okay.
No.
This is gonna sound really terrible right now, Tempo, but I'm really glad it's not current TV. Because I know
No.
we've had some. I was freaking out for a second because I know we've had some issues with his internet in the past, but it is holding solid. So shout out to current TV for holding steady. Oh my god. Well, Puck is really, really happy about the fact that Midday is lagging. And one of those gets through. We're gonna get a bit of a pause to hopefully get this whole thing ironed out. It doesn't look like Midday is lagging anymore.
Yeah.
And by the way, guys,
that he is okay.
yeah. Hopefully he is okay. He's not just like, I don't know, under attack from like a serial killer that's like slowly disconnecting like his phone lines, like his power cables. Like, now I'm gonna go after you. But really quickly, I do actually want to say,
never watch a Twitch stream in 720p ever again.
Oh my god. Speaking of which, I do want to say, I think I was actually getting I was tweeting out about the whole Twitch settings and everything, and someone from Twitch support actually did respond and say that they were actually going to look into it, that it did seem a little bit odd that we had enough viewers for it, and there was no like kind of new setting or anything about disabling the extra encoding options for streams with over 100 viewers. So
yeah,
we'll end up seeing how it goes now, and hopefully they'll be able to get that fixed for us.
Yeah, that'd be really nice. You know, it just allows you to stream at whatever, and then if other, you know, if your internet connection is starting to lag it a bit, then you can just kind of switch it. But do apologize, but yeah, that should be. I feel like you know, sometimes it just doesn't. But oh well.
Yeah, where exactly is the tech for Puck? He has 4 gas geysers. He has a decent number of sentries. Is he just going to go straight for the 3rd? And like, I think he's probably just going to be going for the 3rd. I mean, he only has like 2 gateways. That's the thing, right? Like, this is a defense that's going to rely heavily on the sentries. And Midday knows about this. He's seen the fact that there is, you know, the probe was moving out to the 3rd expansion. He saw all the sentries and obviously a pylon between the natural and the 3rd. So how is he going to react? Is he going to put on any kind of pressure? Because he is making roaches.
Yeah, he is, and Lair is on the way. But are we going to see some kind of roach ling pressure to try to kind of pressure it? Because I mean, Puck is not going to have too many units, but even killing these lings for free is actually pretty good for Puck, especially if you're trying to secure this.
Yeah,
but
it's a light defense, right? Like, you're relying on sentries, so if you kill off a couple more of those Zerglings, you can actually get away with a lot more. Even if it's only 5 or 6 Zerglings, those Zerglings are there to get on top of the sentries and do massive damage. The difference between 5 Zerglings and like 10 or 11 Zerglings is killing off an extra sentry or 2.
For real, yeah. I mean, especially when you're trying to go ahead and cancel a base too, right? Like, maybe he won't get the cancel, but he could at least try. I feel it's like a little bit too late for... He's going to try maybe to do the Ling Hydra pressure as well. He is getting a Hydraless Den and making a bunch of roaches. It's going to take those roaches a very long time to get across the map if he's trying to even... I think he's just going to try to pressure, kill as much as he can, trade out. If he can kill sentries, he is in a great spot. But if he goes and loses his whole freaking army, then...
Yeah, that could definitely be problematic.
Yeah, I've had that happen before where it's just like, all right, I got this. I'm going to make a bunch of units and then trade out efficiently if I can, but just doesn't really work out.
Yeah. Well,
and then all of a sudden the Protoss is on 3 bases and...
Oh, God, yeah, that's the scary thing, right? When the Protoss actually gets to those 3 base economies and is able to also get up the big tech that they want, which, you know, Puck is starting to finally get up to. He's getting up that robotics facility. Honestly, much later than you would normally see a robotics facility. Twilight Council actually coming out, which with Blink coming out as well and +2 weapons, I feel like that's going to be his big time to put on the counter aggression, but Midday should be prepared for it. He's going to have a lot of units around, and this is going to, I think, actually be a weird situation where Puck is preparing for that move out at the same time that Midday is about to go move out across the map with Hydras and Roaches.
Yeah. And I think, Puck is getting a little bit onto the map, letting his presence be known. Does he know about that 4th base, though? He doesn't know about it just yet. But he feels like he can be on the map, and he should be able to mass recall if he needs to. But he should be aware that this 4th base is going up. He doesn't know really about the tech, though. I know that Aspire has just gone down here for Midday.
Oh,
and
yeah.
This is a little bit interesting. Do you think he's going to go for a Muta switch after this? Because usually you see like a Roach Ling into Muta, but I feel like if it's with Roach Hydra, it may just be for Corruptors if there are
I think it's more
Colossi.
likely for Corruptors, right? Because there is +1 weapons research and everything. And so researching or going into and investing into the Hydras and the Roaches, if you're just going to switch into Beetles, it's not the best maneuver. But oh, hold that thought. Actually, we have a big blink up on top of some of the Roaches and Hydras that are trying to maneuver away. Great Force Fields actually going down, keeping out a lot of this army.
Yeah.
Puck's still having a little bit of trouble, though, moving in too far because those Hydras, they are actually really, really fantastic against Stalkers, although can be negated a little bit with Blink.
Yeah, it's just that DPS is so nice, and then if the Blink Stalkers are able to retain, well, if you're able to retain the Blink Stalkers by blinking back, then it just becomes this overwhelming force, and
Yeah.
you really need to make sure that you are killing them. But here we go. Puck gonna go ahead, grab that Robotics Bay, starting to get that Colossus out, and a Warp Prism actually coming out as well. So maybe we'll see a little bit of some attention grabbing, you know, trying to do a little bit of damage as well as scouting with that Warp Prism.
Yep.
But
Warp Prism. Well, it's going to load up a couple of these ults, so it should be able to do some nice damage over here. But I'm actually kind of wondering now, like the Corruptors are going to be popping out, if Midday is all on the other side of the map with this kind of Hydra, Ling, Roach force, this Warp Prism could actually do a lot of damage.
Yep, but a really nice Overlord placement there.
Yeah.
Able to see it. And will Puck capitalize on the fact that Midday is going to be trying to defend this, or does he? No,
Midday
he's just
also
kind of hanging out.
He also has the Corruptors out, right? So this Warp Prism, by all means, should. Oh God, look at actually what Midday is doing. He's moving his Hydras up to the north side of where the Warp Prism is.
Oh.
And he's gonna make sure it dies because the Corruptors are gonna be over there to push it out of that dead airspace, and then he has Hydras on both sides to kill it off.
Yep. Oh, but he just figures he's going to get it with the Corruptors.
Yeah. Zealot run by on the right-hand side of the map, though. Gonna be target firing down the 4th expansion. No drones, not an interest to Puck right now, because he says, if I can kill off your 4th expansion, you're gonna be in a very awkward situation. And guess what? This is gonna go down. Like, you cannot kill these ults in time.
No, they're not even a transfuse there. Drone's trying to get a little bit of damage done, but nope. Zealots are pretty strong there, and they're going to be able to take that base down immediately, but at the cost of their lives. But hey, Puck can do that, you know? He's starting to even up that supply, and he's starting to get a really, really scary army, you know? If he fills it up with just a few more Colossi, I feel like he doesn't really need any more Gateway units, unless he's going for that massive Blink Stalker style, but...
Yeah, that's definitely a really good point. We'll see if
maybe
he actually...
he won't. I was going to say, maybe he won't. Maybe he'll just go right into Templar, because he is getting Storm.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe he's just going to stop here, yeah. And he makes the Corruptor so useless, so...
That's actually a really awesome maneuver, and yeah, if there's a lot of supply eaten up in those Corruptors, it's going to be much harder to win that big engagement, but there is still one Colossus out. You can try and do that, and I guess throw down some Corruptions. Got to use those Corruptors somehow, but now we see Midday trying to push up in, but he's going up a ramp. He gets completely force-fielded out.
Yeah, but that Corruptors take down the Colossus so easily. And a lot of units getting killed there for Midday.
Yeah. Midday is maxed out though, and has a 4th expansion. The 5th expansion has now become the 4th expansion, and he should be able to retake that bottom right-hand base, as he is going to be doing that right now, and going to be looking to be in a pretty decent position. So maxed out army, going to be starting to build up that bank. He already has a nice mineral bank, but with Hive Tech coming up, I will tell you one other thing that Midday has said is that he feels he can contend with any kind of really big late game scary Protoss army. With Infestor, Ultralisk, Viper, like all those late game
I
units.
love that style, yeah.
He feels really good about it, so he may be looking to get there.
Indeed, but a nice positioning here. Storm is done, gonna go down on a lot of the Hydras, and those Hydras are so squishy, especially against Storm.
Ooh.
Really nice positioning for Puck here, especially with these force fields. But actually, no, he's a little bit trapped here, but it does allow him to blink. But just not getting all the damage done at the same time.
I think Midday may be overcommitting a little bit, going into the reinforcing pylon as well. The force fields actually trap out a lot of those Hydras and trap in the remainder of them. Pylon manages to stay up, and that is actually really nice for Puck because that allows him to continue on that aggression. Although actually, he does have a backup pylon. Actually, his gold expansion is right there as well.
Yeah, right?
So I guess he doesn't even need the proxy pylon that badly, but it is nice to have.
Yep, Corruptors trying to add their usefulness as much as they can, saying, hey, I'm just going to make you look a little bit Christmassy, just without the red, but I don't know, man. It's not going to really be enough. There's not enough on the ground here for Midday. Army value is very, very even.
Tempo, you were calling it before, man. It's when those blink stalkers are able to stay alive. You see a lot of those low health ones that he has been blinking back as soon as they start taking that real damage beyond the shields. And they start to get to a massive enough number that is really hard to deal with. And we were talking about like Storm and all and stuff. He hasn't actually been doing Storms. He hasn't had like Archons out. It's actually just been that overwhelming number of Stalkers you were mentioning.
Yep. And that's what it is right now. He's actually, yeah, stop making Colossi completely. Corruptors are so useless. They can't really do anything, add, contribute. And it's not even like Vipers where at least you could do Blinding Cloud.
Yeah,
they just sit there and watch. Look at them. They're literally getting a free ticket.
GG.
Puck in Midday show. Puck takes game number 1.
Yep. And really cool play. I think Midday was in the midst. He was like trying to get Vipers up because his hive is finished up at that point. But it's still really hard to afford the Vipers because you not only have to wait for the hive to finish up, which you finally did toward the end, but then you have to make the Vipers. Then you have to start like siphoning off energy to try and get up energy for Blinding Cloud. Then you have to actually get them into. You can't just like run them straight into the battle and like Blinding Cloud, right? Because the Blink Stalkers, there's so many of them, they can just immediately blink underneath those Vipers. You have to get them in at the right angle, and you have to make sure it's like a very, very difficult thing to do under a big time pressure of like, he's still attacking me. Do I sacrifice the fact that I will have like less roaches and Hydralisks?
Yeah.
To eventually be able to defend what? I'm just gonna die right now. I'm not worried about like 3 minutes from now. I'm worried about like 10 seconds from now.
Yeah. Ooh. It just it was kind of like the you get that composition to deal with, like what you said, like right now, you know? And if you don't trade at that point in time really well, then you're in a little bit of a rough spot because you're stuck with these units that you actually don't want. Like when he attacked up the ramp, it was almost like a move like saying, okay, I want to trade here because I need to trade with you right now. And then,
yeah,
you know, even if you kill the Corruptors or something, there was nothing for them to shoot.
Yeah, exactly, right? That was the big problem. But we'll see how it goes in game number 2 of this series. Is again, Puck, very strong player, but Kelazhur was able to come back in game number 2. We'll see if Midday can do a similar sort of shenaniganry and make the comeback in game number 2. Is we are going to be loading onto the map Catalina, and I'm pretty excited to see what he has in store for us. Unless it's Swarmhouse, in which case I hope he doesn't. Okay. Honestly, I actually think that there are some really cool styles you can do with Stormhost, and I think that Midday is like not exactly. He's not the kind of player that's always going to just be trying to play like the most passive Swarmhost in the world. Like it's not like that. He does like to be sort of active and putting pressure on with them. But just for the sake and the interest of time, these players, I hope that it's not Stormhost.
Yeah. Well, right. We'll see. We'll see. Only time will tell. Yeah. We can. He was my best friend.
All right, we're going to jump into the game interest players as we spawn up here in the top right-hand corner of the map on top of the red Protoss player representing Team IVD Gaming. It is Sloopy, a.k.a. Puck.
And his opponent, down 1 game, needs your support. Rally it, rally it. It is representing Complexity Sound Blaster, Midday.
All right. God, I love when players are chatting, especially about like the last game and all that stuff. So Midday asking about like, why didn't you have? Did you like stop making Colossus and you just went for Templars?
Yeah.
And Puck was like, yeah. I was like, Midday is. I guess he was surprised that he had enough time to do that and everything.
Yeah, but like Puck said, remember how late those Colossi were? We even said it too. True. Like it was incredibly late.
Yeah,
and he says that he always does it. So.
Well,
definitely.
Puck he's given some advice. He's like, I always go late Colossus. Now Midday's like, what can I do to exploit that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Puck, by the way, in case it wasn't apparent through the game with Kelazhur and everything, like for example, remember that early harassment with the Hellions in game 2 in Kingston Dawn Station, where Kelazhur was like trying to do some nice damage with the Hellions and the Marines and everything at the front. Yeah. And Puck was defending with those like 4 or 5 stalkers.
Oh,
and, like,
yeah.
had great micro, and Puck was just saying like he used to be known for Blink Stalker micro, but just in general, Puck has some really awesome micro.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really impressive. Like taking out a full medevac of units and losing 1 stalker. So, but look what Midday's doing here. He's going to be going for that aggressive play. Something that reminds me of something like Leenock would do.
Oh, God.
That really early speed. off of one base
Oh,
and then
wow,
maybe even
yes.
getting that hatchery.
Yeah, this could
After.
actually be really dangerous for Puck if he's not actually prepared for this. Because normally, one thing that you always end up seeing, or at least you always hear people talk about, is the wall-ins for Protoss players with the gateway. You like say, okay, well, you're not going to go for like the Forge Fast expansion. You're going to go for the gateway expansion. We'll build your gateways in a nice way that creates like a wall-in at your or in your main base, so that like if there is an early pool or some kind of early aggression, you can deal with that. But that's actually not going to be there. And Midday, he's going to be able to put on some nice pressure with a handful of Zerglings.
Yep.
And I really don't know how how Puck is going to deal with this, outside of the fact that eventually he can kill off the Zerglings with a Mothership Core and a Stalker that doesn't kill stuff very fast.
Yeah, not really at all, especially with no photon overcharge either. And I mean, I feel like it's usually used to try to maybe punish the Nexus first, or maybe he figured that Puck would try to play it a bit greedier. But Puck is going to be able to wall off, and if he gets a lot of these lings here, canceling that natural would be very, very beneficial.
I think that's what he's trying to do. And yes, with 10 Zerglings coming out after that larva inject popped off, it is definitely going to be an attempt to cancel that natural expansion. If he doesn't, he is unbelievably far behind.
Yeah.
He's sitting on 14 drones right now.
You need to. And even if you do cancel the Nexus, it's a little bit of a rough position because of how low on drones that you are.
Yeah.
But if you don't kill the Nexus, oh my god, it's actually an absolute disaster.
Yeah, Midday is trying to micro these Zerglings, not quite working out. He gets the Nexus to half health and sees the Stalker moves, but oh god, that's honestly just like a good bait from Puck to move that Stalker down, because now the Zerglings are over there and they're trying to see like, okay, can we get through? Photon Overcharge does get thrown down though over at the natural expansion, so Zerglings in the main base now, they are going to be able to run a little bit rampant, but a Sentry's about to pop out, a little bit added DPS.
Yeah, and even if he needed to, he could force field. But oh wait, whoa, that Sentry's Slab.
Whoa.
What are you doing, buddy? Sleeping on the job.
5 probes killed off
attention
now.
to his main, or to his natural rather.
But god, Midday, he's still making Zerglings. He's still on 14 drones. He needs to make sure that these Zerglings either go straight into the main base, which is going to be hard because the Sentry's there, but I mean, all the Zerglings in the main base got cleaned up.
Yeah, they did. And he's still doing a bit of damage here at the natural. 16 more lings are on the way. The photon overcharge has expired.
Oh.
And there's really nothing here. Only 2 sentries. I don't think that's going to be enough.
This may finally be paying off. The Sentries are over there. They may try and throw down.
Whoa, pulling probes though. That's great.
Well, the Zerglings almost got a run by if those probes were not there, but I think, yeah, he needs to defend this natural expansion. If he can defend this and just keep it alive, guess what? All of this aggression, all this commitment to Zerglings may just not have paid off, but Midday, oh man, he's not going to get the... Oh, actually, more Zerglings coming in. Getting surrounded on the Sentries.
Yep. Both of the sentries go down, and now they're left their probes. So many lings right now. Oh my goodness, and now the force fields are actually working against the probes. They can't retreat into the main. Even if this Nexus doesn't go down, so many probes have gone down. My god, 16 workers getting killed here from Midday. He gets the Nexus, it goes down. Uh-oh, GG will be called in Midday. Ties it up.
Really awesome play out of Midday, and thank God. I'm loving the be really aggressive kind of thing with that he just did over there. And I was like really scared for him.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Because I was like, these Zerglings, they're like picking away at the Nexus, get it like a little bit low. They try and go for like the natural, the Stalker's there. He's like quite literally attacking like 20 Zerglings into a Stalker on hold position. I'm like, the 2 of them are attacking at a time. I'm like, oh god, is this actually gonna work out? But unfortunately, it didn't quite. But it looks like we're gonna be jumping into game number 3 on the map Nimbus as I go ahead and get that game set up. Unfortunately, our admin, Master Dolk, big shout out to Master Dolk for being so amazing and helping out with everything for such a long period of time, but he did have to step out. He is still, I think, like 7 years old or something. That's a joke. He's actually a bit older than that, but he's still a pretty young kid, so I always like to make fun of him. But yeah, we're gonna be getting this next game set up as a. Oh, actually, I think our observer Curran was about to set up the game.
Oh.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. He's
well, we're gonna go ahead and get.
Quick.
I'm a little bit too fast, man. A little bit.
I know. It's more like Snapdragon. Sup?
That'd be awesome, man. That's gonna be my new alt account name. All right.
Here we go. Map is gonna be Nimbus. So, hey, yo, this is a map that we've seen some pretty cool Swarm host games, actually, you know. Like, I have seen Hendrilisk actually play on this map, and just I don't even know how the hell he did it, but he spread creep all the way to his opponent's base, just going Swarm Host, I can't remember, Swarm Host, Infester, Ling Ultra at the end of it with a bunch of queens, and just like obliterated this Protoss. I mean, like it was. If you can spread your creep across this whole map, man, it gets pretty crazy.
So, okay, here's a really, like, on the note of creep spread, one, I guess, mild criticism I have for Midday, and maybe it's not entirely justified, but in game number 1, I feel like Midday's creep spread was very slow to get started. And I think the later you get your creep spread started against a Protoss player, the more difficult it becomes to get it restarted and get it really jumping on earlier, or like later on, because when the observer gets out, that's when you start losing all your active creep tumors, and it becomes more of a pain and an annoyance to restart that creep spread. So that's maybe one thing that I feel like Midday maybe could try and do a little bit better. But again, like it may have to do a little bit with like the way he opened up, obviously the way, like the pressure that he was maybe concerned about Puck doing, all that good stuff. So not gonna take too much away from him based off of that one game. We're gonna go ahead and jump and introduce the players though, as we spawn up here in the top right hand corner of the map, on top of the player representing Team IVD Gaming. It is IVD's Puck.
Yay! And his opponent spawning in the bottom right corner of Nimbus, representing Complexity Sound Blaster, it is the Teal Zerg Midday.
Wow! Our live audience is going wild, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh wee.
But just a quick reminder for everybody, you do actually want to win that Zergling plushie. In case you're not familiar with that, I'll be showing it on a stream a little bit later again. There is a Zergling plushie that you can win. All you have to do is follow and tweet at myself and the player that you want to win the Breakout Invitational. Even if they've already been knocked out, let us know who you were rooting for before they got knocked out, and use the hashtag BreakingOutNA, and that's all you got to do. Then you get entered to win a free Zergling plushie, and it's adorable. I swear. Tempo, I'm a Protoss player. I hate Zerglings. I actually hate them with passion.
I'm sure Puck does too after that last game.
Yeah, right? That's actually the reason why I hate Zerglings.
Oh yeah. It's so fun though, you know. It's so, those Carbot Lings they really give it a new, because like, you never would have thought of a Zergling as this little cute thing that like licks buildings and stuff.
Oh my god. Is that what they're doing when they're damaging that Nexus? Is that how he brought down the Nexus? He just licked it until it was so covered with saliva that
it just melted. Yeah.
Oh my god. Well, I guess saliva is actually
just corroded the
it's a
corrosive
acid.
Oh, are we seeing something a little similar actually? Well, not too similar. Very fast gas though.
Yeah, was that a gas before the hatchery?
I believe it was. Oh. Was it hatch gas pool?
Oh, sorry, hatch gas pool. Okay, hatch gas pool then. So, oh yeah. Spawning pool is only just like halfway finished. That makes a lot of sense. Okay.
So not going to be as aggressive as the last game, and very rightfully so, because this is not a map that you can actually do that. As the wall off to the natural, / main is quite easy to pull off.
Yeah, and I'm really interested about how Zerg players decide to play on this map.
Yeah,
because the third expansion, it's very easy for a Protoss player to like just position their army outside of their third and their natural, and it's like boom, I'm now defending all three of these bases. As opposed to like you actually remember on Overgrowth, you kind of have to pick like, am I positioning my army over by my third or over by my natural, right?
Yeah.
So the third expansion can be a little bit easier for a Protoss player to defend. But when you start getting to like fourth, fifth, etc. expansions, it becomes really kind of weird.
It
for
does.
A player to defend.
I agree. Like look at how farther it is than
right?
the other ones.
So yeah, we'll see exactly how Puck decides to play out on this map with that in mind. And of course, Sam I guess goes for Midday. Although I think Zerg players are a little bit happier to have their bases spread out sometimes against a Protoss.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It depends. Like you said, he's not really spreading his creep as much as other players would.
Yeah.
When you have it all connected by creep, it is very nice as well. But you have to make sure that you are on top of it for sure.
Zerg gonna get in, sees okay, awesome. You have a gateway and 2 gas cancers. pretty much exactly what you expected. So he knows there's not some sort of crazy, I'm gonna build exactly one robotics facility and get out a warp prism and stop mining gas. He knows there's nothing like weird like that. He knows there's nothing super duper crazy going on.
Says
there's
a big graphical. Oh
ooh,
wow.
Okay. Sing, does it obscure the no line?
That's good.
Yeah. That is actually very unfortunate. And ooh, actually, it looks like it's actually covering up a big part of the screen. So this is actually a concern.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can get this worked out. But guys, we're actually gonna go to a quick break because I'm not sure how long this is gonna take. So don't go anywhere, I promise. Oh, actually, hold on. Don't go anywhere. We're going back into the game, and it looks like Midday is ready to go.
All right. Like that. Puck knew exactly what was up, and
yeah. That was really interesting.
For some reason,
yeah, go ahead.
When he said Control Alt Delete, all I was thinking in my head was Alt F4. I thought he was trolling, but yeah, it seems to have worked.
He was like, "Oh, does that work?" And Alt S4s, and it's like, I guess it didn't work.
Yeah.
Wait! What? What are these drones doing?
Whoa! YOLO drones.
Oh my God, that has got to have been a mistake from.
Oh, a huge mistake, yeah.
Midday of just like that. I think the pause, and how it worked out and like the glitch. Oh man, that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, he did lose one of those drones too. Luckily, he didn't lose too many, but it's the mining
time. This is rally point?
Yeah. I don't know what it was. Anytime that usually happens is when, like, you think that you like put it into your control. Oh.
I think, no.
Did he put it into his control? Whoa! Oh, no, you're right. When you saw, like, the rally point going to the third, it looked like it was going over to, like, Pucks, right? He might have put it in the same control group as his Lings by accident or something.
Yeah. Puck may have been a little bit confuzzled by that.
Yep.
But we are going to be seeing a Stargate opening. Whoa. Tempo. Double Stargate opening from Puck.
Wow.
That is going to be a very aggressive maneuver. Okay, so this is very different from a single Stargate opening, but Midday, is he onto this? He's throwing down two spore crawlers at every base.
He's done a lot of them, yeah.
He only saw one of the Stargates, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So he's seen two Phoenixes from the Overlord.
So it's like,
I guess that realizing that, putting two and two together, like, wait, you shouldn't have two Phoenixes this fast, is able to, I guess, predict that, and is able to get up the double spore crawlers. Now, is that going to be enough? We'll have to wait and see. The Queen's also going to have to play a role in the defense. Double Stargate is just such a scary opening sometimes.
I know, right? You can lose so many Overlords, especially on a big map like Nimbus.
Mm-hmm.
You need those Overlords to spot on the map, and you need those Overlords in order to kind of scout.
Yeah.
So, he's going to have a very hard time figuring out what Puck is actually going to follow this up with. And that makes me a little bit worried, because what is his response going to be then?
Looks like adding on some gateways, and he's still producing Phoenix, so I'm actually just wondering if he's going to continue producing Phoenix, get up to like 10 or 11, and then go into Void Ray production off of 4 gateways and just go for it on 2 base.
Yeah. Well, I believe there was a Robo. Was there a Robo? Perhaps. I'm not sure. I swear I saw it, but maybe I was just... I don't believe so. So nope, it's just going to be straight up Phoenixes and double into Twilight Council. They're going to be seeing a different kind of style here from Puck right now, as he does add all these gateways. Is he going to be going for the third, though? I mean, yeah, he's definitely looking to take it.
Yeah. Okay. So the Phoenix are going to be in a massive number, and they're going to be able to do a lot of damage, but again, he needs to make sure damage is happening over here. Killing off the Hydros is also going to be important. He wants to keep that Hydros count low so that the Phoenix have the ability to just pick off stray Hydrolists, because they do well against Hydros in small numbers, but not so much in big numbers.
Exactly. So maybe I'm wondering what he's going to be doing with this Twilight. Does he want to get charged? And yeah, he's going to go ahead and get charged. I was wondering because, this is pretty, not too gas intensive, but it's like, you're double Stargate producing, and if he was going to go for like Blink Stalkers with it, I don't know if he'd be able to actually afford it.
Yeah.
With the third base, maybe so.
Just like resource-wise, I kind of like the decision, because Double Stargate, that's actually, when you're making 2 Phoenix at a time, I know this because I'm a very experienced Phoenix mono battler. I love mono battling the Phoenix. But when you go for the double Stargate, oh my god, I never thought this knowledge would actually come in handy. You actually have a huge influx of minerals, so Charged Zealots actually really well complement this composition, because your Charged Zealots basically decimate things like Hydros if they don't have a whole lot of defenses on the low ground, and also Charged Zealots are very tanky units. They can actually force armies back.
Yeah, and they do very well against Hydras that aren't that don't have that roach support.
Exactly,
So.
and if you're being forced back and trying to micro against the Zealots, the Phoenix just swoop in and they're lifting up and taking out
They
those
sloop in.
Oh my god,
in?
they're doing that right now. They're actually taking out a surprising number of Hydralisks, but is he out of energy? I think he is almost out of energy on every single Phoenix, though.
But that was a lot of Hydralisks that just went down.
Yeah.
And by getting +1 on these Zealots, they're going to be able to deal with the Lings pretty easily, and they're going to have charge, and they're going to be able to shred through these, especially if the Hydras are not in a high number.
Oh my god, he has +1 air weapons, too.
Dang.
Jeez.
He's putting on the hurt.
Still making Phoenix. This is just not a style you see in PvZ. Like, talk about Phoenix openings. It's like, let me make Phoenix, and, oh, my opponent's not going Mutalisk? Let me keep making Phoenix to try and do damage.
And, oh, another Hydra getting picked off, and more damage being done.
God.
That is a ridiculous amount.
It doesn't matter if there's Spore Crawlers, their tempo.
Yeah, they're just...
The Overlords are still gonna die.
Yeah.
They're
There
almost
are
getting one-shotted.
15 Phoenixes right now.
Oh.
And now we got the Hydras moving on out. And if they're going to be off of creep, those Zealots are going to come on in. So, ooh, one of those Phoenixes does get sniped. But Midday, good. Yeah, adding in some of these roaches, he's going to really need those.
That's going to be important, especially since he's going to be very soon facing off against a lot of Templars, or High Templars, and Archons specifically, I think, also. Just because if you take a look, like, he's getting +1 shield upgrades, which has got to indicate to me, like, it's also a very rare upgrade to see. So it's most likely just to try and get extra shields for the Archons.
Yeah. I've actually seen Jenner's Avenge do a style that was like this. I don't remember if it was double Stargate, but he just went ahead, forces out the Hydras, and then goes charge lots with a +1, and then he gets +2 very fast. Cool. But then getting the High Templar as well, it's just to deal with the Hydras so easily.
Yeah, this is such a weird and scary kind of composition, and we'll see if it ends up working out. Midday is doing a good job. He's kind of staying he's making sure he's not like overcommitting in. He doesn't want to be completely forced back, but you know, I was talking about his creep spread. There's only one active creep tumor, but it is slowly made its way all the way across the map. That could actually be helpful if there's an engagement around there, but it doesn't look like that's what's going to happen.
The concave is really nice here for Midday, but is it going to be enough on the ground? A lot of these Phoenixes are picking up a lot of the units on the ground, and geez, I don't even know the roaches. Are they going to be reigning supreme?
Roaches reign supreme on the ground, but there are still those Phoenixes in the air, and actually there's not enough Roaches. The Phoenixes are able to pick up those remaining Roaches on the main base, but the Roaches now coming to the natural expansion. The cannons and the Phoenix, they're enough!
Oh my god.
This is insane.
What is going on? Yeah, it's absolutely insane. That is a ridiculous amount of Phoenixes, and is he stopping? I can't even tell anymore. He's at 13, but that's because he did lose a few. He's lost 7 Phoenixes so far. But Midday, you know, he didn't get the third. He didn't get to kill it. Gets a third up, but it was a nice trade to get the ground army, but what did Puck actually lose there? A lot of Zealots and...
Yeah, right?
Not really that many gas-intensive units.
He specifically target fired down all the Hydralisks to make sure that the big... And this is going to sound really weird to say, but like the big power unit for Protoss, the Phoenix, right? Like not something you hear often in this matchup. Usually it's like, maybe if your opponent has Beetles, then
Uh-oh, gonna fly into a little bit of a trap. Midday setting it up, taking out even more Phoenixes and...
Well, I apologize to Puck, but the caster curse is real. As soon as I start talking about keeping those Phoenix alive, of course, Midday sets up the trap and picks off quite a few of them, actually.
Yeah. Gotta be very careful, though. Those are pretty much what's keeping Midday back, but...
Yeah, not that big of an army right now.
Not at all. There's no Colossi here either. And Roach Hydra's pretty good against this kind of composition.
Oh, man. There are actually 10 gateways, though, so every single warpin is like a warpin of 10 Zealots, which is actually pretty freaking awesome for him. He's going to have enough money for another warpin round of Zealots very, very soon as well, and with Photon Overcharge, I feel like Midday is going to have to be so careful not to over-engage over here.
Oh, the storm's going down, though, on the army here. And a very nice spread, but, I mean, more Phoenixes coming in to pick him up. These Zealots are putting in work, but Midday does have some really nice upgrades of himself, 2-1. And Puck only has 1-1, but geez, Puck, like, manages to hold on just barely every time.
Yeah, no kidding. And now he has the Void Rays being mixed in, 2 being produced at a time, and that's going to make the Roach production for Midday a lot harder to actually make a whole lot happen with, right? Like, those Roaches are just going to evaporate, and once those are gone, the Charge Zealots get to go on top of those Hydralisks, and as well as the Phoenix even.
Yeah. And Puck already securing a 4th base. And the fact that Midday is just now starting to mine from his own, not even getting the gas yet. He's still on that. Is he on Lair Tech? Still, yeah. So he's just going to try to break it down with Roach Hydra, but it's just really not working. And it's like, you think to yourself, what do I really need here? Because you try to get Vipers and they're going to get sniped off by the Phoenix, and they don't even really affect Zealots at all. So it's like, you just need an overwhelming number here, and Puck's not allowing that ever to happen.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering, like, is the correct answer to this for Midday to just sit back, take like a 5th in or so, and get a maxed out army, and then push? Because it might be concerning. The reason why I think Midday is constantly just pushing it at around 160, 170, 180 supply, like, he doesn't want to let this army get too crazy with, like, the number of Void Rays or anything. Stargate units are units that they take a while to produce, but they are power units. You can't let a Protoss player just Oh, well, hold on thought, actually. I mean, as this engagement is going down, Midday is actually doing a pretty good job so far.
He is. And those Templar only have one more storm after that one. And, they're going to hit. Those are great storms in the Void Rays. Don't even need to charge because they do not do extra damage to the Hydras. But here come the Phoenixes to go ahead and clean it up. My God, so much damage being done. And Puck is mining from a 4th base throughout all of this. This is looking really bad for Midday right now. I'm a bit nervous because this Roach Hydra is just really not working. He's going to really need to maybe even throw in some Infestors or something to keep those Phoenixes and Void Rays at bay. And even Zealots as well, you know, like getting that Infestor Queen Hydra or like combo, you know, you really need a different kind of combo than just Roach Hydra at this point.
Yeah, I'm not even really sure at this point what Midday needs to transition into, just because, I feel like Infestors would make a lot of sense, but right now,
even
the army
before, you know, like, wow, if we could
I don't know how I don't think, because think about it, the big problem is that every single one of these engagements, the Void Rays and the Phoenix have been surviving. Phoenix have been lowering heavily in count. There's only 5 around, but now there's 9 Void Rays out, 2 more being produced at a time with nice upgrades. Swarmos get made.
Well,
what are you gonna do? Rely on Spore Crawlers to, like, defend? At this point, the Void Rays would murder Spore Crawlers.
Yeah, at this count, it's getting a little bit too out of hand, but those 2 trades, you know, like beforehand, it's imagine if they are Swarmos, because then, like, you're not really spending the money to do it, and you're putting the pressure on. The creep has been pretty decent too, so the fact that he is up here, he would be able to pressure. But I mean, it's at that point where if you try to go Swarmos now, it's probably not going to go the best for you, just because he'll notice it and probably be able to lift them up in the small numbers that they're going to be in.
As Midday moves to actually trying to go in once again to do some damage over here at this 3rd expansion, I do want to note really quickly, Midday did actually research drop, Overlord drop play. So we could actually, that actually might not be the worst decision in the world. The Zealots, sure, they're pretty fast and everything, especially with charge, but if you actually just drop in the natural expansion, you could do a lot of damage before the Zealots ever get there.
Yeah. Oh man, it's just looking pretty scary right now. Those Void Rays. Hydra's gonna get absolutely just rained on. And yeah, I think they're allergic to electricity because they are falling pretty rapidly, and that is a lot of DPS coming out of Puck, and GG will be called. Puck wins another show match here.
And a really, really sick series over there. I gotta hand it to both of these players, especially like Midday knew how to bring it out in game number 2 with the kind of the more aggressive opening, but Puck kind of showing in game number 3. He has some secrets, little play styles of his own, and not afraid to bust them out.
Whew. That was pretty funny. Double Stargate, eh? Indeed.
All right. Well, Puck wins both of his games in his series, so he is now 2-0, and of course the pros are 2 games won versus, or 2 series won versus 1 series won for the semi-pros. Now, of course, this isn't like a team league. We're not. I guess in a sense, I guess it's kind of like a best of 5 that can end in a tie.
Yeah.
So now, first to 3, I guess we can consider the winner, but it's going to come down to this on whether it's going to be a tie or whether the established NA pros are going to be winning the show match series. We have the last the last one coming up. Don't want to delay any too much longer because I know that we do have the semifinals and the finals, the actual event still left over. And of course, I know that Temple, you have to leave at some point.
Yeah.
And, Day9's not going to be replacing you, but he's going to be hopping on the call and trying to fill the void of Temple.
I think Day 9 can fill quite a void and then some, man.
Oh yeah, seriously, man. I'm looking forward to that. But of course, really enjoying the time here with you, man. We've had some serious, we've had some amazing,
crazy games, man. Like, my
okay,
God.
like
it
yeah,
awoken me too, because like at first I was like, my nose was stuffy, and like I was like, oh man, like, have my head, I don't know. And then all of a sudden we played a bunch of these games, and whew,
yeah,
definitely you can feel it.
And I'm not gonna lie, because as we are waiting for the next series to finally get set up, the final series of the show matches, but not of course of the night. I do want to say, like, it really is awesome to see crazy awesome games, because the reality is, this is something that you don't hear casters talk about as much, but it's like when you have a really long day, like you have things like DreamHack casts and all these other things like that community casters will do and everything. When you have really awesome games, you really don't actually mind.
I know.
It's actually just like you just say like keep them coming. I'm actually happy to do this. Like I haven't slept for 36 hours. I haven't eaten for like 40. But
haven't left my chair.
Yeah, exactly right. Like there's still awesome StarCraft. So keep
my
them coming.
legs and stuff.
Exactly right. You don't need legs to observe StarCraft.
Nope.
But do recommend if you are sitting for too long, go stand up.
Just do a little stretch. Do
some
jumping jacks.
But we've had awesome games, and it's kept us energized. Like every single game has been awesome. So guys, we're gonna be jumping into the next series, and I think we've actually filled enough time that we're actually gonna be able to just go straight into the series. We don't need to cut to a break or anything.
All right.
All right. Well.
Bam.
QXC versus Intense is going to be the final series of the show matches, and it's going to be a Terran versus Terran. Tempo, I feel like you as a Zerg player and me as a Protoss player are best equipped to cast this TVT.
I know, right?
I'm just gonna load up Zombie Grub on Skype, and it's like, hey,
yeah, be like,
what?
Yo.
Can you tell me what's Actually, I would be like, QXC, can you tell me what's going on? Oh wait, you're playing
in the game. It's like, damn.
Right?
But yeah. It'll be interesting. TVT.
Yeah.
Very, very fun matchup, though. I feel like nowadays it's actually... Wait, QXC's Protoss. Make sure, yeah. Okay, so... Yeah. But it's been very aggressive. Like, there's been such aggression in TVT nowadays, and I've been loving it,
Yeah. I've noticed, like, sorry. This is the reason why I could never be a Terran player. Is because I don't have the multitasking ability. I meant to type yup to say that we're ready to go, but instead I said yup, and then I almost typed. And so you know what I was going to say about this matchup.
It's like mixing it up.
Yeah. Reversing them. I'm the guy that will be like, okay, there's a drop in my main base that I need to feedback, and then there's whatever like my natural expansion that I need to like A move an army into, because Protoss A move race herder. I'm just kidding. I don't think that, of course, but yeah, I'm the one that will mix it up. I'll be like, feedback the Hellions, go!
Can you do like the thing where you like rub your stomach and pat your head and then switch it?
Wait.
Like you rub your stomach and like pat your head, and then you have to switch it and like rub your head and pat your stomach and like.
Oh my god, tempo. We could embarrass ourselves by doing this, but let's watch players who are freaking awesome at this game as we go in and jump in and introduce the players in this final series for the show matches. Spawning over here on the left-hand side of the map, we have the purple Terran player representing Complexity Gaming. It is Complexity's QXC.
And his opponent spawning in the bottom right corner. It's kind of funny because this is the same team matchup as we have just been witnessing the last time.
Is it?
But a whole different matchup in general. Yeah. It is going to be the red player representing IVD Gaming, Intense. Yep, IVD versus Complexity.
That's actually so funny.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering now if this is actually just like we shouldn't be keeping track of like semi-pro versus like pro.
It's a team league, man.
Yeah, dude, this is like the start of a team league. The breaking out / broken out team league.
Yep.
the quasi breakout invitational team league.
Mm-hmm. I can dig it. Let's do it. Let's start it right now.
All right, Tempo. You just get that money together. I did my part on this one. But really quick note as we do end up waiting for the builds to sort of get established, as we do just have kind of like normal gas openings from both these players so far. Nothing too crazy. I do want to say, if you do actually want to donate to the actual Breakout Invitational prize pool, obviously don't do it if you're like, well, I have to choose between this taco and donating.
Yeah.
Go with the taco. Okay, seriously, I would go with the taco if it was between that choice. But if you have extra income, you already have your tacos ready today,
True.
then consider donating to the prize pool, and it definitely goes and helps. It goes pretty much entirely to the players, and it helps kind of, it's that reinforcement, right, of like, you know what, my hard work in trying to practice and beating players like, you know, QXC Intense, or, you know, Intense, definitely a good player, but not obviously the more established player in this situation, but like, you know, beating those good players and having that great performance is like the reinforcement of, it's paying off, I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
I didn't actually tell them how to donate. Hit the link down below. That's the Breakout Invitational logo. That's all I'm gonna say, because now we're starting to see these bills start to shape up a little bit.
Yeah, and both of them did go for a gas opener, so gas first into their barracks so that they get that factory as soon as the barracks did complete. But a little bit different here from Intense is that he decided to get his first Marine, and then he went into Reaper, so he's going to be able to go Scout. And we're starting to see the first deviation, and that is really the only one. Oh, just a little bit. I'm wondering, I think we may see a little bit of some Hellion drop action here. Nope.
Ooh. Well,
Tech Lab going down on both of them.
Yeah. So this is actually, like, I would say the most standard thing right now in TVT, to my knowledge. Of course, with my expert Protoss knowledge and your expert Zerg knowledge. But from what I understand, I had the privilege of casting actually with Zombie Grub earlier.
Yep.
Like, I think it was yesterday, actually. It was just yesterday. It's been that long of a time. That's how much I miss casting with Zombie Grub. But nice to have you, of course, nice to have you here. But, you know, she was saying 1-1-1, the Banshee kind of opening / Raven openings, very, very common these days. So I'm not surprised to see this out of either of the players, but Hellion's actually being made over here for QXC.
Yeah.
And Raven also being made? Could
So
this
both
be
of
the
them,
beginnings? Could this be the beginnings of mech?
It could be. I mean, they did both take their second gases and trying to do some aggressive play. We'll see exactly what he does continue to make out of the factory. And the fact that a reactor is going to be made on it. I wonder. We're going to see lots and lots of Hellions. It looks very similar from both players.
Yeah.
As far as their builds go, the only real deviation was that, of course, Intense made that Reaper to get that scouting info, while QXC is kind of just playing in the dark and doing his own build, saying it doesn't matter what you're doing.
Yeah, wow, actually, that's such a good point. Like, right now, he's just scouting with that initial Hellion, and I think, as you were saying, like, it's actually kind of surprising me. Like, he does have the Raven out, just kind of like to say, if you are going for a Banshee play, then I do need to defend, but what's really interesting to me is that he still hasn't scouted out his opponent, but he doesn't have that many. Okay, he has like a few Marines, but a lot of them are sitting at the natural, and then a handful of them are sitting in the main. But neither of them are a large enough count to defend against the Banshee by themselves. They need to all be grouped up, so it's hard to defend like both the natural and the main. So
Yeah.
I want to say it's a little bit of a risk, but I guess it can be accommodated by just a really good positioning and map awareness for your army.
Yeah, indeed. So it looks like QXC going to be going for that kind of Marine tank style, as he does add some siege tank. No, Intense rather going for that. Well, looks like both of them are actually, but I guess not going to see the mech, but just that biomech from both players, as they both do get their expansions up. And boom, I think that was like the first real, was it? Did the Reaper die? I don't know if the Reaper died, but I was going to say first blood there.
I think the Reaper did end up dying over there.
He did.
Yeah. So one Reaper, one Hellion going down, but no big losses on either side just quite yet. The Medevac's actually going to be loading up some of these siege tanks and some Marines for QXC, so he's looking to maybe put on a little bit of aggression. And you know, those drops in TVT, especially if you can get on top of the production facilities, if you have like a siege tank and a handful of Marines, that is actually a really, really frustrating way to it's a frustrating thing to have to deal with.
Yeah, for sure. But the positioning, of course, for QXC, like the way that they both are, QXC has the shot to the natural, while Intense always will have the shot to the main. So if he is trying to go for that production, I feel like Intense will have that better luck doing so. But look at them both trying to drop each other, and do they even see each other? If he was paying attention, he may have seen the blip.
Oh god,
This is awkward.
This is high school where the two guys are like they don't actually like they're good friends. Or they were, but they got into a fight, so they're like not quite acknowledging each other, not really looking at each other, not really noticing each other. but still, it looks like Complexity QXE gonna get the drop off first, and oh, QXE is in position to intercept this drop.
Oh, wow, he is actually going to be able to pull in the SCVs in order to, but the auto turret DPS will be able to help. I think QXE is actually going to be able to hold this. Some really nice drop micro here from Intense. And oh my god, with that auto turret DPS.
Oh my god, the Siege survives with 16 health. That's awesome for Intense.
Dropping it, but the thing here is that you have to understand that Intense has been forced out of his natural.
That's true.
But the actual damage has been done. Even QXE killing oh my god, 17 workers have been killed.
Oh.
By Intense, rather.
Yeah. And so the thing is, I actually like... QXE is now getting into a good position, so I take it back, but hold that thought. SCV is being pulled. Is it going to be enough? They get right on top of the auto turrets, right on top of the Siege tanks. Siege tanks wailing away at the Marines, and it looks like Intense is going to be able to clean up, but how many workers does he end up losing in the cleanup?
They just pretty much traded back and forth. 17 workers again.
What?
So.
Oh my god.
21 in total, but it's just funny how, 17 workers killed and then 17.
Whoa.
But also,
it's still going though. Intense is still in the main base.
Yeah.
Okay, the Siege tank should be cleaned up now. Boom, one Siege tank shot from QXE. And finally does clean up this drop, but I really did actually like Intense's position a little bit better. I say that, but there's still a drop aggression coming in from QXE with just 2 Marines and a Raven.
Yeah. They're going to continue to put on some pressure, and Intense is actually dropping rapidly in supply as far as his SCVs go.
Yeah.
I feel like QXE may have gotten the better hand of this. Although Intense was in the main, he never really got to kill any of the production buildings.
Yeah.
And he just flat out didn't kill as many units or as many workers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was that kind of thing where I was saying I liked Intense's position because he was on top of the production facilities, whereas QXE was at the natural expansion for a lot longer. So in that sense, it was kind of nice, but at the end of the day, he wasn't able to like really halt production or kill a lot of units coming out of those the factory and everything. It was just barely kind of in range of the Siege tank. So QXE was still able to continue that production. He was still able to kind of macro up, and he was still able to mine as natural. So at the end of the day, QXE comes out ahead with just the workers killed.
Yeah. So they're quite equal in army supply. Intense has a little bit of a advantage there, as well as I believe he had STEM researched, while QXE is... Oh, he actually hasn't started to research it yet, and I don't know if he's forgotten about it, but he is starting to get the combat shield.
Ooh.
So we'll see if he actually is just bypassing it, and then, yeah, he'll start it as soon as that tech lab does finish. And what is his plan going to be now? Is he just going to kind of chill out? He realizes, he may realize that he did a little bit more damage, but he might not even know, at least how far ahead he is in the sense of if he kind of chills. He will be able to get that army value up.
I definitely agree. Like, the onus right now is on Intense to do something, right? Because he can either take, like, a greedy risk by going, like, really macro-oriented and saying, like, okay, I'm going to get... actually, canceling stam, a really, really nice maneuvering. But I was going to say, like, either do something really economically greedy or put some pressure on your opponent. This is the kind of option he's going to go for. Going to put pressure on, kills off a couple of these add-ons.
Yeah. That's actually really big that he got that stim because it's going to be even later. Luckily for QXE, his combat shield did finish, so he's able to go ahead and get that. But, oh no, yeah, okay. No, he canceled the combat shield because he realizes that he wants to stim a little bit more. And, wow. Gonna go ahead and be set back, He's not going to really be able to be that aggressive despite having this a supply lead.
Yeah.
But Intense is making it happen, He's working with what he got.
Yeah, so let's think about this for a moment, Tempo. Is Intense once again going back in with a drop, and of course QXE setting up for his own drop because these two guys are being crazy awesome and aggressive, and it's a ton of fun to watch. But Intense, right now, by canceling Stim, he has his own Stim finish up. That's going to allow him to engage QXE's Marines in even-ish numbers and get the advantage, right? But QXE still has that SCV of advantage right now, so he's still leading up an economy. Intense still has to do some sort of economic damage or take a third expansion much sooner if he wants to be able to equalize in terms of just raw macro.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like, it's all about having that advantage right now, making it happen. But the longer that they're sitting on the two bases, as far as they're both on top of their macro, QXE's just gonna have more stuff. And even though he's not gonna be able to use a stim to be aggressive or, actually utilize it, and it may take longer for him to be aggressive, at the end of the day, he's still actually mining and getting the infrastructure and just the economy in order to just pump out those units so that when all those upgrades are finished, the +1, the stim, the combat shield, then he's just going to have more stuff overall. They've stayed relatively even in tank counts, but QXE does have 2 more at the moment.
Mhm.
So I do fear a little bit for that push out as they it is gonna start to get to a point where Intense won't be actually able to go toe to toe.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely know what you mean, and I will say though that if you're just down 2 tanks, obviously having less units, not an ideal situation, but with good positioning, I feel like a 2 siege tank count deficit can definitely be overcome. So it's really going to be about Intense being in position, but Intense is out entirely on the map with his entire army, and there's a double medevac drop getting ready to move into the natural expansion.
Quadruple medevac drop going into the main.
Oh.
There's a tank and some Marines that are already set up here. He's trying to make it happen. One tank does remain here for QXC, and oh wow, the positioning is nice, but there are actually some Marines here. And are they going to be able to take out the Marines before that? Oh my god. I think that Intense is actually going to be able to get quite some value with these.
Yeah. Well, oh god, it does end up getting cleaned up by that second reinforcing wave, but QXC at the same time is denied mining at that natural expansion for quite a bit of time, and it does look like he was able to kill off a couple more workers, I believe.
Yeah, losing those was pretty big. He lost the siege tanks, he lost the medevacs as well. He did not get those medevacs out, and QXC has a third already completed, and he's going to be able to start mining from there. Shouldn't really fear too much, as he did just reset the tank count of Intense.
Yeah,
he held on to most of his as well.
Now I'm wondering, like, okay, I was talking about 2 siege tanks. You can overcome that with good positioning. If you're talking about even-ish numbers of Marines, which I guess Intense is leading up 10 Marines, which is nice for him. But if you're down 4 or 5 siege tanks, that can actually be a really, really difficult thing to overcome, because your opponent can set up, say, outside of your natural expansion or something, start sieging up and putting on very light pressure.
Yep.
And as long as you're able to defend against drops and stuff, you can actually just deny the third expansion that QXC does have right now. But QXC going to take the more defensive stance for now, it looks like.
Indeed. I mean, he has every reason to. He doesn't have any reason to be on the map and try to actually kill Intense right now. He's just gonna go ahead, sit back, and say, Intense, come on to me. And Intense is kind of in that situation where he does have to. There's no third command center on the way, and he's actually down in the siege tank count. He's probably gonna try to do some kind of big doom drop again, but those actually haven't been very successful. But there is a big drop inside of the natural of QXC here.
Yeah, he has been able to do some damage over here. It is gonna get maybe cleaned up. I don't know. It's like even-ish numbers of Marines, and they also both have 2 medevacs.
The QXC will trade all day, as long as he doesn't just lose everything to those drops. He can trade his Marines out there. He can do that, as he does have the better income going on for him. And he continues to do damage right back to Intense.
Yeah, just keeps running in a handful of Marines, dropping, and just another doom drop. But this time QXC is once again prepared. I say this time, but QXC's been just prepared in general for these. Oh no, the medevac's actually giving target fire down. Maybe. Oh no, QXC not actually target firing. Maybe missing an opportunity, but he is still gonna be able to clean up a handful of the Marines for Intense.
Yeah, and yeah, I love what Intense is doing. He is everywhere on the map, but just trying to get every little bit of damage that he can get done. And he's just trying to break QXC, but it is going to be very hard to actually break QXC at the end of the day because of these siege tanks that are here. And he just has more stuff. And the fact that he's not going for a third base, I mean, he has to. Yeah, look at, there come the boys, man. Choo-choo.
QXC has boys of his own that he can pull, but this is definitely going to be all in. Oh no! Intense losing a lot of his Marines to the siege tanks immediately, trying to siege up on the low ground, but QXC has vision of it with a very, very well-timed scan. GG gets called. QXC taking game number 1.
Ooh. In an intense series.
You might say that it was cute. I'm trying to think of like 3 words in a row that begin with the letters Q, X, and C, like quite, complex. Wait.
X.
Quite xylophone.
Yeah, that's a rough one, man.
What a xylophone match, Tempo.
That was quite the xylophone. X-ray. I don't even know.
I guess maybe if there's like a xylophone sound effect, that would be appropriate for the situation. But regardless, QXC able to take that game, and I felt like he was up, and he had a nice little advantage through a lot of the game. But Intense was still doing a really good job, I guess, staying even while behind. It's a really weird phrase to say, staying even while behind, but he wasn't falling further behind.
Yeah, he wasn't at all. It just kind of over time when he started trading out and the fact that QXC was on that just a little bit better economy. He wasn't like, so far ahead in that sense because he kept getting his mining disrupted too. But every time that would happen, QXC would answer with his own drop. And it's like, damn it, I'm trying to do this here so that I can come back, but you keep messing with me,
The
man.
best defense is a good offense, except when both players decide that, in which case it just becomes the best defense is units rallied out of your barracks as they get made.
Exactly.
Well, let's go ahead and jump in and introduce the players for game number 2 in this series as we spawn down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. Top of the player representing Team IVD Gaming. It is the player for Breaking Out, Intense.
And his opponent, representing Complexity Sound Blaster, up 1, hoping to close it out at 2-0. It is the Purple Terran player, QXC. Yeah, that was kind of interesting too because they did both open very, very similarly. Yeah. Both did the medevac drop at the same time, but
it's almost all the same, right? It's just very mild deviations.
I just feel like the positions favored QXC as well. Like we were saying it beforehand, just the fact that the main is accessible and then it's only the natural that is, and you're not mining gas from that natural at that time. So the fact that QXC was able to drop and his siege tanks landed, and I think he was able to even get the gas, stop the mining of that, allowed him to kind of get ahead in those siege tanks, allowed him to, continue.
That's a good point. So that's actually something we didn't really discuss that much. Is not just like, this idea of I'm stopping my opponent from mining at the natural expansion. Oh, that's awesome. That's a good thing. Like rather than just that, it's also just about the fact that he's losing out on that gas count, right? So losing out on siege tanks, that is actually pretty problematic.
You kind of need those,
Losing out on one of the most staple units in a Terran versus Terran.
Yeah.
Bad? Sure. Someone might say. Bad to have happened.
Yeah. Well, looks like it is going to be the same kind of opener again from both players. And I think this is pretty standard. I mean, I feel like a lot of, like you were saying earlier, that 1-1-1 style.
It's not just crazy different. Yeah, I'd more surprised. I won't say surprised because it definitely can happen. You can definitely see a lot of deviations from this. But I'm more surprised when people don't go for it.
Yeah.
It's such a nice kind of safe opening in the sense that it gives you a lot of options, right? You can go for the Raven if you decide that, hey, you know what, I can actually maybe get some damage done. I can go for the Banshee. You can maybe even go into Hellion drops at this point if you don't actually get to that point where you're throwing down the tech lab just yet.
Yeah. I thought it was very interesting that both of them did go for that Raven, kind of anticipating that either would be going for Banshee and just saying, all right, I'm going to try to shut it down. But neither of them did playing the safe rather than aggressive, but then they both kind of transitioned into that aggressive style, and QXC got the upper hand in it. So Intent's going to go ahead and try to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Both looking like they are doing the same kind of opener as usual, but this is where we will kind of find out where they decide to go with it. And it does look similar once again.
Yeah, and I, again, would be too surprised to see either just both Ravens coming out for both of these guys, just because, one, happened last game, but also, two, I actually think that, and this is something that Zombie Grub was telling me about yesterday, which was really cool, learning more about TVT every single time I cast it with Zombie Grub.
Yeah.
But it's just such a nice utility unit to have, and obviously, a lot of people say, like, well, how come you didn't know that, Fear Dragon? Well, the nice thing is that it's actually really nice for harassment sometimes, because you saw how much value those drops were had just because of the addition of like 2 auto turrets to help defend those siege tanks and the Marines. It just becomes like this bigger tankier. It's like it has the health of a siege tank in a sense, like it has that higher health than a Marine, but it also has the ability to like attack quickly and not just fire off once and then it's like, okay, well now there's this big cooldown where my opponent's entire army stims up and gets in some big damage.
Yeah, but look at here. Intent's going to be going for that Cloak Banshee. QXC keeping it that safe route again, grabbing that Raven, and he has him. Bless you, man. But we're going to be having
our observer sneeze, guys. You can't hear him.
Oh, no, it was you.
Tempo's not just going crazy. No, Tempo's not just going crazy with some random ghost sneezing. But you were saying the
remember what I
cloak
was
coming
saying.
out and the raven, etc.
I was gonna say QXC does have enough Marines here,
Mhm.
in order with that Raven, and if he does drop that auto turret, he would be able to take out that Banshee. But
Mhm.
hey, depending on intense micro, he could be able to get a few of these Marine kills. Don't think we're gonna see too many SCV kills here though.
It's going to be much more difficult to get into the actual mineral line over here. I do want to note also Intense following up with a Raven of his own behind this, because both of these players have not scouted each other until just now. Intense finally got a slight little hint of vision at the fact, okay, there's a starport, there's a factory with a tech lab, so siege tank production already beginning.
And I wonder if he's loading up these units in order to just drop under the Banshee, like boost under it and go. But
Oh god, that's like nightmare situation for a Banshee, I imagine.
yeah. But QXC finishing up his command center, but Intense is starting to produce his. Didn't really get too much value out of that Banshee, but hey, you know, sometimes it just is what happens, you know. And QXC, like you were saying earlier, having that Raven now, didn't even have to use any energy, is going to be able to utilize some of those auto turrets or even point defense drone later in the game.
Oh yeah.
Where the Banshee kind of, it's not really a factor as much, unless you're able to sneak it in when they do push out.
Definitely. But specifically, like you brought up point defense drones, it's actually a really great point because we are seeing a Viking now coming out for QXC. Whereas if you take a look at Intense, he's kind of sitting with a starport for right now. Obviously, he's mining off of 2 bases just now, but not really getting a whole lot of gas income from the 3rd and 4th gas guys just yet. So getting up upgrades for his bio forces, he's not going to have a whole lot of air superiority that QXC could have. And with Medivacs and a Raven and then a Viking to secure that air superiority, you can do a lot of damage, especially if you get the siege tank siege up in a very nice position.
Yeah, and you know, Overgrowth is a great map where you can put the siege tank at that 3rd location.
Ooh. Banshee.
And, Marine is going to be able to spot this drop coming. But I wonder if QXC would siege it up, because you can also hit the natural there with the siege tanks if you decide to. And he may decide to, because there's really not much here for Intense. He's trying to defend against drops in the main, but that's not where QXC is going. Oh, but is he? He's just going to drop into the natural straight up.
Into the natural. There are the auto turrets. The immediate defense is coming up. Looks like Intense is trying to siege up as well. Behind this, Intense was doing some Banshee harassment. It's now stopped though. And QXC is going to do a lot of damage over here. GG is called. QXC taking the series.
Wow. Very, very decisive move. And he just went for it. Intense was in the main trying to defend against a drop, perhaps, and then just could not get to his natural in time. And once you're set up like that, it's very hard. And then even if you do, you just lose all that mining time. By the time you get there and you secure it, and you do it so cost inefficiently. So he just felt like there's no way I can break this in a way that is going to allow me to actually be ahead, or even grounds, or maybe just too far behind.
Definitely. Well, congratulations to QXC. He definitely played it out really well. Not something that you really think about when you say like Doom drop is very common in TVT. I'm like, Doom drop into the natural expansion? Like,
yeah, right.
Normally you think like main base, right? But it definitely worked out very well, and it was the kind of killing blow that allowed QXC to get the big edge in that game and take the game. But
yeah,
still very well done. I'm still very proud of all the players that actually played today. I feel like there was still pretty awesome games from pretty much everybody. So congratulations to all the players that won, and even the players that ended up losing. And with that being said, that is actually pretty much it for the show matches. So Tempo, unfortunately, my friend, you're going to be leaving me.
I know. Like all great things, it must come to an end. But the Breakout Invitational is not coming to an end. It's actually about to begin, really.
Yeah, right?
To be honest, you know, that was just like a little taste. As the actual semifinals will be kicking off. But yes, I do have to go. But that doesn't... I think it's going to be pretty good, you know? You got some guy that's pretty known in the StarCraft community coming on to cast later on, I believe.
I think I've heard of him. He, like, I don't know, he messaged me out of the blue and was like, hey, you know, I'm an up-and-coming caster. I was wondering if you could let me help
trying to break out into the North American casting scene.
Quite literally the opposite.
Yeah.
But yes, Day 9 is going to be joining us, but of course, Tempo, you're going to be gone, but you're not going to be gone from the StarCraft scene by any means whatsoever.
Oh, no.
Where can people catch you at, man?
If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at Team Tempo, spelled with a 0. And if you want to check out my stream, I tend to stream some pretty mediocre Zerg play, but I do it with a smile, and it's always a good time. twitch.tv/tempo_SC, and that's also spelled with a 0. So if you want to check that out, definitely feel free to drop by. I tend to be pretty interactive, and yeah, just have a good old time, man.
It is a fun stream, man. You also do like all kinds of fun arcade games and everything with everyone. So guys, definitely be sure to check him out. But Tempo, thank you so much for helping me out with today's.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's awesome, man. I love the Breaking Out series. I get to see a lot of these players, even just these show matches where, it's just the people that we're probably going to be seeing in the next WCS.
Yeah, for sure. Well, have a wonderful time, Temple. Guys, we're going to be going to a quick break as we pull day 9 on and also get the next game set up. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back with the semifinals of the Breakout Invitational Season 3.
Kelazhur, the Daredevil.
Kelazhur is only half North American. While he was born in the United States, this Terran has been living in Brazil and representing Latin America. But this guy is incredibly good-hearted. He could give Sheth a run for his money in a kindness contest. In fact, he gives his family all of his prize winnings just to help out.
My mother, she opened up a restaurant in 2010 while my dad lived in the United States. But I worked there for like 3 years, and we did one last event, and then we closed on the doors. And since then, I've basically just like been playing StarCraft and some coaching. My mom just moved to the United States like 2 weeks ago. She basically like sold everything here and started a new life there. Since things are here really hard. I'll also have to find a job to help out the bills since I don't make a lot from StarCraft. The little money I make from StarCraft is like from coaching and Latin American tournaments. I just give it all to my parents.
He even wants to give the glory of winning to the entire continent of South America.
I have a lot of people rooting for me in my country, a lot of fans, people who actually believe in what I do. They want me to break out because the Latin American scene is really weak and skilled. Push myself really hard to become the best player in South America. So I wish to give something or an entire continent to look forward to have, I guess, like have an idol.
He's a rising star in a region that most forget about. To make it out, he's got to take some risks. Luckily, he's perfectly fine with that.
I'm not afraid to just take half my army and drop somewhere and, as soon as I see the opportunity, even if the gap is really small, I'll try to take advantage of it. I believe that the biggest risk of all is not taking any risks.
He's not feeling great about his TVZ. While he'll tell you his micro is lacking, you can cut him a little slack with his constant 220 latency and solid macro.
It's one of the worst when I take it to the late game when I have no advantage whatsoever. So I have to rely more on stuff that give me an advantage early game. I did some tests, and for example, I play with around 220 ping on the NA server. Like, it can be really good at macro, just not really good at winning the engagements.
Terran versus Terran is actually his worst matchup. He often just tries to find advantages by taking risks with Doom drops.
I would say TBT is my worst matchup. It's a lot of Doom dropping. I'd like to think it's like whoever Doom drops first wins.
Terran versus Protoss is where the light shines though. He has a secret playstyle that he's found a lot of success with, but requires some heavy risk-taking, multitasking, and Neo-Steel frame?
It's actually a really good matchup for me. I've developed this really frowned upon style, but it's always working. I'd be really good players with it. It definitely involves a lot of risk-taking, a lot of multitasking as well. And I've recently been playing around with the bunker upgrades that allow you to load more units into it. Neo-Steel frame. I guess maybe I should keep it a secret until the tournament.
And that's what you need to know about Kelazhur, the Daredevil.
JonSnow, the Redemption Zerg.
Some say JonSnow knows nothing, but he's been around the block. After making it into Challenger League for WCS America Season 2 and placing second in the first Breakout Invitational, he's back for redemption after what's been a rough year for him.
I think my strongest quality would probably be that I can put the time in and work hard at something. I'm really hard worker. I think my weakest quality would maybe is that I don't think I have like the inherent skill that some players have that like makes them just really good without playing a ton.
He's not someone who can rely on talent to get better. Instead, he had to work his way up.
You see how hard work pays off. When someone plays a ton, practices really well, you can definitely see the difference.
You can't work hard at something you don't care about, so you know he'll be here for a while.
I'm not gonna retire and leave, kind of like Idra or Stefano. I think I'll be here for a while, and hopefully I can be that North American hope.
His ZVZ has gotten better recently with a transition away from Mutalisk and into Roaches, but his biggest problem is his confidence in himself.
I haven't been doing as many all-ins because the gasless style came about, and it's a lot more Roach play now than Mutalisk play. which I think I am a lot better suited for. You know, I psych myself out too much. I need to be more confident in my play. I'm a lot better than I was a year ago, and I think I can take on a lot of the best players in NA without any gimmicks.
Zerg versus Terran had earned him a reputation as an all-inner over a year ago, but he's moved on to more macro-oriented play. He relies on a variety of playstyles to make up for his lack of control. Jack of all trades, master of none.
I don't feel as confident in like mid-late game versus good players. My strength in ZVT definitely would probably be the variety of builds. So I think there's a ton of builds out there for ZVT that we can do. I think my weakness would definitely be that my control isn't the best. So just when you're mixing it up, it's hard to stay really strong in all parts of the matchup.
Zerg versus Protoss has been his biggest downfall in 2014. He felt better about it since 3-base play has become much more common, but he still struggles with early game all-ins.
I think right now it's at the probably my favorite part it's ever been at, because it used to be a lot of like 2-base all-ins and cheeses and stuff like that, and now it's really become more of like the standard is just to go 3-base macro, which I think is where I'm a lot better suited. I'm not really good in the all-in stages where I'm either too greedy or over-prepare and stuff like that.
And that's what you need to know about the Redemption Zerg, JonSnow. Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Fear Dragon. I'm joined here with a very special guest, Day 9. How are you
I've
feeling?
achieved very special status, so I'm already thrilled to be here, but special, oh man. You know how to warm my heart. But
Well,
either way,
it's definitely warming my heart that you're actually here with us on the broadcast, but of course we also have our fantastic players who are going to be playing in the very first semifinals of today. It is going to be Kelazhur and Jared JonSnow George. I feel bad now because I just used Jared's full name and I didn't do the same for you, Diego, but your last name is really hard to pronounce, I'm not going to lie.
Don't worry about it.
All right, so Diego, how you feeling, man? I know that we kept you up pretty late last night with the final games of yesterday, but you made it through. You made it over in a TVZ, actually, or yeah. How are you feeling about the matchup now?
Well, I actually lost to Midday 2-1, and I beat Zan, but
Oh right, yeah, TVT, you made it over, right?
yeah, but I still think I'll try to give my best in these games. I'm not confident at all, though.
Okay, so Diego, one kind of other follow-up question is, have you ever not been nice to somebody in your entire life? Because you tell me during the breaking out interviews, I'm on a team with like micro gamers. There's a bunch of Koreans. They would probably practice with me if I asked, but I don't want to inconvenience them. Then you say, actually, before we actually go live with the interviews, you say, oh, I already know what the outcome of this match is going to be. JonSnow is going to win. And I'm convinced you said that because JonSnow was on the call. You didn't want to like hurt his confidence on it. You wanted to make sure he felt good about it. Have you ever been mean to someone in your entire life?
Yeah, I used to get angry a lot when I was younger, and I used to play Dota 1. But I guess that was it, kind of.
and now you've moved on to a game that's a lot more relaxing and calm, which is Terran versus Zerg in StarCraft 2. That's great.
Well, at least, I don't have teammates to get angry at, so there's no reason to get angry at myself either. So.
All right, well, not exactly in the same sense, but JonSnow, you are actually former teammates with Diego over here from Corpro Gaming, and I know you guys are good friends, so how are you feeling today, man? You mentioned earlier you got stung by a bee.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
It's a bad omen?
Hopefully not. I don't know. Maybe, so this reminds me a lot of Season 1 when I had to play Sonic, who was also like a really good friend. So it always sucks to have to play them, because even if you win, you're sad, and if you lose, you're going to be sad. So it's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, so JonSnow, I gotta ask you, man. I've said this before, in some ways you almost remind me like the up-and-coming North American version of Sue, because I'll like watch all these qualifiers and stuff, and I'll be like, oh man, yeah, JonSnow, he's gonna make it, he's gonna qualify, and then you make it to the final round, and then you immediately just get like knocked out, and that even happened during the first Breakout Invitational almost exactly a year ago. You're almost at the semifinals, man, and you've turned that around. You beat Huck in Copa America recently, in a best of 7, like 4-3, because I know math. and you also managed to recently qualify for the 32 Boys 1 Cup Base Trade TV tournament. So do you feel like you've broken kind of your own Sioux curse?
I think so, but it's going to be pretty difficult because even if I beat Diego, which is going to be hard, I'll have to play Intense most likely, who's also a really good Terran. So I don't know, I felt like I had easier competition the last Breaking Out, but I don't know, I feel like I'm a better player this Breaking Out.
All right. Well, sounds good, man. I'm looking forward to it from both of you. Diego, do you have any final words for your opponent?
Yeah, good luck at the finals.
JonSnow, do you even have a rebuttal for that terrible, terrible trash talk?
No, not really.
All right.
Oh, Diego, no. May you bunker rush well, and may your Widow Mine hits be true. It sounds like you need the extra gumption going into the match. Actually, I wanted to ask before we hopped in.
Yes.
In a few sentences, Diego, I want to start with you. How do you feel about Terran versus Zerg since the Widow Mine has been boosted?
I think Terran is it got really stronger because Zergs, they didn't adapt well to Widow Mines. So I think, yeah. Sorry for not keeping it short.
That was perfect, JonSnow. And how's the matchup felt since the Widow Mine buff for you?
A lot harder. Used to be able to just like A move over Terran, and now you have to split and be worried that Widow Mine's going to kill everything. So it's definitely different.
There is yet hope.
All right, gentlemen, to your figmental, that's not a word, to your imaginary booths as you guys go ahead and get ready to play in the semifinals. Best of luck to both of you as I use my great admin powers to kick you guys out of here.
Boom. Owned.
Wrecked. All right. Well, Sean, we're going to be jumping into the first series. The game is already loaded up, and I think as soon as the players give the go-ahead and the ready, we're going to be jumping into the first map, Foxtrot. So, you do a daily. I've heard that you know something about StarCraft.
Yes.
Um,
And I've been known to never stop talking. So if you're asking for my thoughts on this, oh my god, I can't wait. Foxtrot Labs, I do not feel very comfortable on. In any matchup, there's just a lot of, like, each of the expansions beyond your natural is very uncomfortable to take. So generally speaking, I would give a little bit of comfort edge to the Terran player in this setup because they don't have to take as many of those high-risk expansions. There's generally that one big puzzle. How do I get the third? And if you have an answer for that, you're in good shape. But I think JonSnow seems to be pretty confident against Kelazhur.
Yeah, I think that we saw a little bit more, definitely more confidence than Kelazhur felt against JonSnow. But I especially want to say, like, on the map Foxtrot, you were talking about how those outlier expansions are going to be a little bit harder to take. I think that's going to play really well into JonSnow's playstyle because JonSnow is the kind of player that you see he'll go up to 3 bases and then he'll start to rack on aggression of either, you know, lots, whether he's going for like a Mutilating Bane or he's going for Roach Hydra. He's not afraid to really mix up the styles and really put the pressure on after 3 bases are established.
Yeah, I mean, he used to be so cheesy, and he hasn't gone for the super late game style that many Zergs are going for. He tends to stick and chill in mid game, so I'm excited to see if his aggression can be used to break Terran Expos on this map.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to go ahead and jump in and see what exactly is going to happen in these series, and this series in particular, as we go ahead and spawn in the top left-hand corner of the map, top of the blue Terran player representing Team Pro Dolly, it is Kelazhur.
And spawning all the way down in the yonder bottom right-hand position, the recent champion of Copa Americas, JonSnow. And you know, one of my favorite things when looking at any player who's not in the top, you know, like your GSLs, your WCS finals, is there's a lot more comfort with experimenting with new cool ideas.
Yes.
Yeah, and like one of my favorite competitive game analyst people, David Serlin, he talked about how when you're against experts, you learn what not to do. They punish you for everything. But when you're up against a new player or a weaker player, that's when you can learn what to do. And so we tend to see these experimental strategies actually have a lot of success, and they get brought up the rungs until the new play or the tip-top players who of course are always scared to take a big risk in a huge tournament and get busted out. Then they begin to absorb those sort of strategies. There's a lot of really cool, innovative things that we see down here.
Yeah, that's actually such... Okay, I think this is actually like the perfect time to bring in something like that, which is a really cool thought. And shout out to David Sterling, because he's freaking awesome. I love his stuff.
His books
Play to
great.
Win, great
Oh,
book. Yeah. But Kelazhur is a great example of that, I think. Because if you take a look at how he played his show matches, I'm not sure, I think that you were not quite around just yet, but his TVP against Puck early on in the show matches, he went for this crazy, I'm going to get Neo Steel frames, bunker upgrades,
why?
I'm going to get like Bio Mine, I'm going to skip out on Vikings for a really long time. Like, he's able to do like these really crazy, unorthodox things and really start to refine them against like, I guess, players of like this Latin America scene.
Yeah, because I mean, imagine if you said, I have this idea, I'm going to delay Vikings, and I'm going to try it against an expert, and he destroys you 3 times in a row, and your brain goes, no merit here, and you abandon the strategy and move on. But if you can begin to get wins and losses, both winning and losing helped you to refine a strategy. You know, that said, is Terran versus Zerg, he likes to do a little bit more of the standard stuff, standard openings. We're seeing him already go for the Reaper, expand. We're seeing JonSnow get the no-gas Zerg opening style. All this seems reasonable, especially given if you have a hard time taking a third as Zerg, may as well get extra queens for Creed.
Yep, Reaper going to be trying to put on a little bit of harassment, going to be able to hop down over there. JonSnow trying to intercept it with a couple of Zerglings, but you know, the Reaper will stay alive. And it's kind of funny because Kelazhur, on top of all of his like kind of lack of confidence right now, especially against his good friend and former teammate JonSnow, he's actually dubbed himself in his interview. He said the Latin America scene calls him the world's worst marine splitter. So it's so funny because he's really hard on himself with his micro, and I'm never really sure whether to say, because obviously a lot of the purpose of this tournament and the show is to explain to everyone, okay, this is kind of like the play style of these players and everything. But I'm never really sure whether I should say Kelazhur has really bad micro, because then I'll see him do really, really good micro. He'll do like a lot of damage with the Reaper, or he'll do actually some pretty good marine splits. So he's really, I've noticed he's really hit or miss on that.
Well, I mean, it looks like he's going for a little bit more of the micro-intensive style builds. I mean, there's been a long period of time where Terrans just went Hellion into 3 command center, and I wanted to die every time I had to cast this matchup. But I'm so excited to see more of the starport-based plays we're seeing Kelazhur. There's a couple of different transitions. He might not even lift this barracks from the tech lab. I mean, if he does do the switch, and it looks like he is, he'll go straight into Banshee, and I think this is a smart play on this map. I mean, look at how far away those thirds are, and JonSnow might not have any intention of taking the third at all.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, this is like a very JonSnow thing to do. Just honestly play it a little bit safer. He's not usually the kind of player that I expect to see like go for a much faster third expansion, or even just try and really heavily power economy. Generally, I see if he's gonna play something greedy, it's either tech, or he's just gonna get up a really, really big scary army and go for some kind of aggression. With a Roach Warren coming down, I think that's very much a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely reasonable play. It's super hard to take a third. We see Terran already preparing to hit on multiple fronts. May as well go straight for the layer. But Kelazhur needs to recognize this and cancel that cloaking field. That's a pretty expensive upgrade. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, not really. But right now, if you can cancel that and dump those into upgrades or into stim, you're going to be in a great spot. But how can you do harassment damage with a cloaked Banshee when the Zerg's on 2 base? You can't do that. So Kelazhur really needs to either recognize or maybe even overbuild Banshees and go for mechs, something that justifies getting cloak, because I don't really see a lot of damage that's going to be possible.
Yeah, and JonSnow may even be anticipating this. I think he's actually already thrown down some Spore Core, so even if he does get cloak, I mean, how much damage is it really going to be able to do with the detection already there, layer tech finishing up, so there's going to be ability to produce Overseers, and Kelazhur kind of just blocked out right now. When exactly is he going to realize that he's going to have to sort of adapt to what JonSnow is going to do?
Well, it looks like the Banshee has managed to get in there. It's starting to pick off some drones at the backside, and we see unusually 8 Hellions at the front. Not quite sure what to make of that. Is he going to try to be aggressive? He absolutely is going to be doing a good contain. And in combination with this Banshee harassment, I think that's a totally fine situation to be in. I'm actually surprised that JonSnow is able to deal this much damage.
Yeah, JonSnow's definitely taking a fair amount of damage right now from that Banshee. 5 kills already, and the Banshee does manage to get out of there with a little bit lower health. One kind of concern that I have is the fact that, you know, Kelazhur, he's starting to get up his third expansion and everything. if JonSnow pushes out with a large number of roaches, maybe he can do some big damage, but honestly, I think it's starting to like get past that point where JonSnow, he's gonna have an okay number of roaches, but I feel like Kelazhur is gonna have enough to defend.
Yeah, and I mean, look, JonSnow has a ton of money. It looks like JonSnow wants to get another expansion, but he's waiting until he's completely safe to do that. You can't do that when you're against a good Terran player. You got to expand soon. You got to expand often. You almost need to expand into danger and then let it barely stay alive. But look at this. He's going for a gold. He's going for Hydralisks.
Ooh, gold expansion, gonna give him a little bit of extra income, and you know, when the Hydrals then actually finishes up, but hold that thought, actually Hellions getting picked off. A couple of them do end up falling. Kelazhur does manage to keep a few of them alive, but you know, one thing I will really quickly say is that JonSnow clearly going to be trying to do something aggressive, right? You don't make all these roaches in a Hydral's den and everything when you want to just like try and play super passive and defensive. But the creep spread actually is not really that great right now for JonSnow. It's not just the Hellions. I think that it definitely helped out, but it's something that even In Control was saying when we were commentating Group A and when he was playing his TVZs and ZBTs. His creep spread is definitely not, I would say, one of his strongest suits.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly doesn't look like it. The creep spread really kind of needs to be all, like... The creep is the thing that lets you pre-defend the third base. Hey, my hatch is like 20%, but I already have queens with a highway, easily able to secure it. And what I love over on Kelazhur's side is we're seeing him respond to this brilliantly. It's so hard to just suddenly get the right unit against roaches, the tank, or you know, a lot of marauders, unless you've done a lot of preparatory groundwork. And we see all the add-ons that Kelazhur built. He actually got 2 tech labs extremely quickly. This is allowing him to easily get a lot of marauders, to easily get a lot of tanks. So we're going to see one of the more old school combats, Marine Marauder tank versus Roach Hydra. And I think this attack from JonSnow coming up has to deal some significant damage.
Yeah, Banshee does see the entire push out on the other side of the map. He cloaks just in time, but then the Overseer arrives. It's like, no, you're actually dead. Siege Tank, I really like this positioning over here. The Supply Depot one is just going to make it so hard for JonSnow to actually push in right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is the sort of attack out of JonSnow that can sometimes take a mind-based player off guard. But look at Kelazhur's tank placement. That is perfect tank placement. That is covering everything, and JonSnow's still going to try to find some window of opportunity. He steps in. I mean, an instant arc from Kelazhur. The tank at the back, there is no way this is going to get broken. He can easily kite back to that tank. I mean, Kelazhur has this defense on lockdown, and 1-1 is almost done. Armory's ready to go for 2-2. This is looking very good for Kelazhur, because I'm not really sure how you transition well out of this for JonSnow.
Well, there is the gold expansion for JonSnow, so he's going to be maybe catching up a little bit, but I think you're right. Like, the third expansion is also already mining for Kelazhur, and where is the transition for JonSnow? Like, does he go up to a Hive and maybe get out Vipers, throw down, like, Blinding Clouds or something? Does he start getting, like, Banelings in the mix? I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I mean, anytime something doesn't go right, there has to have already been a next step. And the attack didn't go right, and we looked back, and there was nothing. I mean, now we're starting to see the hints of things going on. We're seeing that fourth base, we're seeing the infestation pit, but it feels just a little bit late. So what that means is that Kelazhur, with these drops, JonSnow's really got to crush him. He's really got to deny a lot of damage here, or JonSnow has to macro out of his mind to overwhelm this army.
Well, drop going to be coming in from Kelazhur, double drop actually, and JonSnow should have vision of it with one of these overlords at least. And actually, his Roach Hydra force moving around. Okay. For a second, I thought he maybe was looking to intercept it, but no. Scan goes down, and this drop is going to be able to do some good damage before those units get there.
Yeah, no Mutalisk, no way to deny this. Kelazhur can just drop until he's ready to push. Immediately steps in. JonSnow's got to pull back. Pathogen glands going down, 2-2 almost done for Zerg, but JonSnow is taking some massive damage in the main. Why massive? Because Kelazhur can just pick up, walk away, and what can you do about this as JonSnow? You can't do anything, Robbie.
Well, this actually really is a concern, because not only is he just kind of doing this nice little harassment and getting a couple of pickoffs on roaches and everything, but as you said, like, JonSnow has to stay at home and defend, and there's not a whole lot they can do about this medevac. These 2 medevacs in the dead airspace. How in the world do you safely move out as a Zerg player knowing that there is a Terran, like, mini army ready to just pounce and cause the worst bad hair day possible in your face.
Oh god, and I mean this is the moment that makes me just so uncomfortable on this map. This big push coming up from Kelazhur, where is it? On the high ground. Concedes his expansion on the low ground with no good angles for JonSnow. So he better hope that he got plenty of extra money out of that, because there is not going to be any hope for JonSnow to intercept this directly, cost efficiently. Dropping the main, slaying everything. I can't tell if this is a counterattack from JonSnow, whether he's trying to do an attack from behind.
Oh, looks like an attack from behind, but it's not entirely well timed. I think JonSnow maybe a little bit on tilt, and Kelazhur, he seemed like he was going to be able to take a really good engagement over there. He's actually starting to lose a lot of supply.
Wow.
JonSnow may actually be able to hold on. Oh my god, he keeps the third alive too.
You know, the dirty little secret of beating these Roach Hydra armies is to get some Marauders, but not too many. Look back in the main, Kelazhur has 4 barracks churning out Marauders. I think that's a little bit too many. What that means is the Hydras were able to deal a lot more damage. They were able to rip down that line. And even though I think compositionally JonSnow managed to barely edge out due to that amazing flank, JonSnow's having to rebuild his entire force. His hive is only just now done. We're seeing Kelazhur was behind in supply at the start of that engagement and is now even, maybe even a little bit ahead, and those drops hurt so bad. 14 workers killed off. 53 drones on the map. That's a weird number of drones to see for Zerg.
Indeed, I guess a couple of those drones still left over and still dead, actually, from the earlier drops, but Kelazhur's continuing to put on that bit of drop harassment. And I see what you're saying right now, is we have 2 medevacs.
Oh!
I think 5 or 7.
Oh no!
Whoa.
Picks off a medevac down at the south side, but at the same time, Kelazhur moves in with this push. Great sniping by JonSnow, but even one medevac that goes unhindered can pick off so many drones in the main.
Oh, could be seeing the big engagement over here. Definitely favoring JonSnow in this position with the entire Bioforce trying to walk up that ramp, but Siege Tanks are in the mix this time, and this is something I want to note. Kelazhur last time, I think he left those Siege Tanks over his third base, ready to deal with kind of counterattacks or anything